welcome to Fae Fam Talks. This is the second episode where I go ahead and talk to the wonderful Bootsy here. Today is going to be obviously a little bit different from last week. Last week, our guest topic was Animal Crossing, and that is why I have the Animal Crossing background, and I just never changed it because I just never got to that part. But it's going to be fun. I'm really excited. So, I met Bootsy, I believe, and I'm not completely 100% sure, but I'm like 90% sure. I believe I found you through Kiki Heals. Kiki went ahead and rated me during I was playing Dead by Daylight, and it was like one of the first I believe it was one of the first Dead by Daylight streams that I ever did, and I was also under the LGBT tag, and they said that they rated me just because of the tag and playing Dead by Daylight, and they're like, oh, they look like they have a good vibe. And so I was like, that's the most insane thing ever. And then I found you through them, either through a shout out or they were talking about you at some point, and so I went ahead and followed you, and I vibed there since. So but would you like to introduce yourself a little bit? Oh, you're muted. Mute.
Hello?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's weird. I don't know what happened. I don't know why I was muted. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Hello. I'm Bootsy. I am a streamer on Twitch also. I only have been streaming for a little less than a year. But before that, I mostly was focused on YouTube. Not anywhere related to the gaming industry at all. So a little bit about me. So as you can see behind me, maybe there's a lot of art supplies up in this joint. I am a crafter. I've always been really into crafting. And I am more specifically a card maker. So I make greeting cards out of paper and ink and stamps, and I color like my life depends on it. And so that's what I have been doing on my YouTube channel for the last few years. And I really enjoyed that, but I felt like I wanted something a little less like structured, I guess. And that's what made me decide to go into streaming, video games wise. And so now I'm kind of doing a combination of variety streaming and art. Actually, Glam kind of inspired me to try out art on my channel, as I hadn't really done that. I had mostly just been doing games, and I said, why not? Let's try it. But I am a mom of two tiny terrors. They are 6 and 4, and they definitely keep me on my toes. So if they come in here screaming, I locked the door, so it would be difficult for them to get in here, but you never know.
You never know. You
Never know.
Like, you think that you locked the door and you've done it, you checked it and everything, but somehow they find a way in.
They sure do. But thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here.
I'm so excited. Like, I get to like talk to you and stuff, and like
Yes.
instead of like just through chat on like
Yeah.
on streaming on Twitch and all that. So it's totally a different thing for the both of us. It's really nice.
Definitely.
So you said that you did YouTube first, and I did notice that because when I found out that you were also a crafter, because I am as well, and when I found out that you were a crafter, I got really super excited. I was like, oh my gosh, this person they're like my twin. They do crafting stuff. What is this? This is amazing.
And then we proceeded to like cut our hair at the same time and like dye our hair at the same time.
It was like generally the same color too. It was like
hive mind.
Yeah. I was like, how is this even a thing? And then I shaved my head, and so I was like, I was like,
I'm not brave enough.
I can't believe I did it, honestly. It was just one of those things. I just was like ready for it. I was done. But yeah, so we're gonna go right into our content creation talk here, where I'm gonna ask you a few questions about content creation. So what made you start YouTube? Because that's where you started first.
Yes. So actually, if we rewind a little bit back before my YouTube days, which I think I started my YouTube channel in 2017.
Okay.
Um, so it's been a few years now. Like maybe the beginning of 2017, or else it was December of 2017, and maybe then like officially in January. But um I started an Etsy shop. So well, basically what happened is I've always been a crafter and I really wanted a Cricut machine, which is like an
Ah,
electronic die cut machine. It cuts shapes out
yes.
for you. I feel like a lot of people don't know what that is, but like if you're a crafter, you probably do. um, but yeah, so I really wanted a Cricut. And so my husband, Andrew, got me one for Christmas. And that was in 2014. I was struggling with being a new mom. My son had just been born in July of that year, and I felt like I was losing kind of
Mhm. Mhm.
myself in the new momness that was going on. And so, in order to try to like find my way back to crafting, he got me that as a Christmas present in December of 2014. And so, I started trying to experiment with it and figure out how to use it and what I was going to do with it. And then I decided, well, I like the idea of cards, and maybe I can like sell cards or something. So it would kind of give me something, I don't know, to do.
Oh yeah, for
Because
sure.
I was just doing stay at home mom at that time. And so I started going down that path and I opened up an Etsy shop. And that was in 2015 in June. And so I started making my cards to sell on Etsy. And I was like, I don't have an audience. Like, no one is finding my shop. It's not, I don't have any organic growth.
Oh my
Nothing is really
gosh, yes.
happening. So then I thought, okay, well, I'll get social media. So I started an Instagram and that was kind of eh. Some people found my stuff, but there really wasn't a lot of traffic. So I thought, okay, what else can I do? And so I started a YouTube channel. And I think my first video was a review about these three craft products that I was comparing. And it got like 5,000 views. And I
Holy
think
cow!
I had like 2 subscribers or something. And it had 5,000 views. And so I don't know. It kind of just took off from there. And I just kept making videos and I started doing card tutorials kind of as a supplement to my Etsy.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and then now they've kind of grown. They're very independent things. But yeah, that's kind of where it all started. And I think now I'm getting close to about 6,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. So it's come a long way in a couple years.
That's awesome. And it's really funny to see the difference between like where you went with your Etsy shop and
Yes.
it's so funny because like crafters they just love those reviews and I because like I do the same thing and I'm like how is this product, do I actually want this product, and so then you go
Yes.
on YouTube and you look up a review and you're set. So that's funny
Yep.
that you just posted a video and you got 5,000 views. That's
It's
awesome.
insane. I don't know why it happened. It was just like the perfectly timed video, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. Especially for having no audience at that point. It kind
Mm-hmm.
of just blew up. I think I got like 500 subscribers in like a week. And I
That's
was like,
awesome.
wow, maybe I can do this. And then obviously I've had not quite as much rapid success as that, but it's been slow and steady over the last couple years. So
Right, right. So with and you said with Instagram you weren't getting as much traffic with that, which is funny because when I started so I used to make friendship bracelets like on the regular, and
Mm.
I made the ones with like designs on them, so like it would be more like kind of like more like fandom stuff that people would
Oh
like.
yeah.
They would see Disney stuff and they would be super excited and they're like, I want that. So I used to do those a lot and I got more traffic through that. But I
Oh.
also didn't do anything on YouTube because I said this in the last episode, but my parents live in an area where there isn't quite a good internet
Oh.
source, so like we couldn't do
Yeah.
anything like that. I could barely even do Instagram. It took me like 10 minutes to download a picture, and I had a really bad phone at the time because it was like a really bad like
That's so
smartphone.
frustrating.
It was, oh gosh, it was very frustrating, the whole thing. But um as I got out of the house, I was able to uh, get more stuff out of there and do more Instagram. I didn't ever get into YouTube until recently because of streaming, and I wanted to expand a little bit. And as you said, with 5,000 views, you can definitely get more um what's the word, more people seeing you,
Yeah,
discoverability.
like kind of like traction, and yeah, you
Yeah.
get kind of something to jump off of. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like on Twitch it's very hard
Mm-hmm.
because you have to be in the right place at the right time, and it's kind of like a waiting game. Like
Yeah.
maybe this will be the day that I will get a big raid and like everyone will vibe with me and that will like be a way to build my community. But if you're not on at the right time for that
Mm-hmm.
to happen, you kind of miss out on those opportunities. Whereas like on YouTube, that video just lives there, and
Yeah.
at any moment someone could find it, and um, I don't know, it just has a little more maybe longevity. I don't know.
I mean, it makes sense because it's like I was kind of saying it was the discoverability. I think that's the word that I was trying to find.
Yeah,
Discoverability on YouTube is much easier because you can just type in keywords and you can find a bunch of videos of what you're looking for. And
right.
then on Twitch, you can't just type in a couple of words and find something that you're looking for. I mean, you could, but it's very
He's
difficult to actually
scrolling.
find it. Yeah, you're scrolling forever. And it's like
Yeah,
maybe you'll find somebody who's live right now that's playing that. Otherwise, you just don't get anything, and you don't really see anybody's VODs very often,
right.
which is
Yeah, so
probably
once it
why.
happens, it's kind of gone.
Yeah, exactly. It's completely gone, which is why some
Yeah.
people I know have posted their VODs onto YouTube before, so that way if somebody was like, "Oh, I'm missing this. I would like to see the rest of this
Yeah.
of the stream that they did." So they posted on YouTube.
Kind of nice, like a built-in content sort of
Mhm.
option.
Right.
I always struggle with knowing whether or not I should post them because I don't know if people are interested in watching them or not. I mean, I guess it couldn't hurt.
Right. Right.
But I always feel self-conscious. I feel like that people are going to be like, "Wow, this is a really lame video. Why do I want to watch this for 4 hours?" or
I
whatever, you
feel
know?
that so much. I do that all the time. I'm like, why would somebody? It's the same thing with this too, though, because like we're doing this live, and then I'm gonna be putting it onto YouTube first, and I'm like, do
Yeah.
people actually want to watch this? And so then I'm like, I don't even know.
Hope so.
Yeah. I mean,
We'll
it's just
see.
right. It's just one of those things. It's like, do people actually want to hear me talk? Because that was my first question when I first started this podcast. Before I did any of it, I messaged my sister, who is like the most like blunt person for me, and she will tell me how it is. I'm like, is my voice annoying? And she goes, no. Question mark? And
Question
I'm like,
mark? This
and
is a
I'm
loaded question.
like, pretty much. I was like, okay, well, I'm thinking of doing a podcast. And she's like, oh, yeah, no, you're fine. Like, you're not annoying. Your voice isn't like scratchy or
Oh.
anything. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, you're not just saying that. And she's like, no, I'm telling you how it is. You're fine. Go do it. Do what you want.
It's
So
funny that we kind of need that external validation sometimes
yeah.
for someone to be like, no, this is not crazy. Don't bother. Like we
Hmm.
need a little push sometimes.
Especially from someone that's like you ask the person that you know is going to be like very blunt about it too, because like my
Right.
sister and my mom will tell me exactly how it is, and like I know that they will, so I go to them for things all the time. And like the kind of astrology thing, my sister's a Virgo, so she's very like very consistent about like planning and like looking at things and being very blunt about it because earth sign. So I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I could ask
I don't
her.
even know anything about my sign.
um so question with being a mom, how do you plan all of your content creation, like with your YouTube videos and streaming, including with your kids?
It's difficult.
I'm sure it is.
It's I I think it's hard mostly because kids are a very what is the word? They're an unknown.
Mm-hmm.
They are very unpredictable. And so I can have all the plans in the world, and then the day or the moment that I sit down to create, they are sick
Mm-hmm.
or they're hurt or they're hungry or whatever whatever the issue is for that moment, there's always something. And so I kind of have to just take advantage of the seconds that I have and know that a lot of times I'm not going to get a chance to actually sit down and finish something. Like go from the beginning to the end. I'm going to have to just do it in bits and pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what ends up happening a lot. So most of my content is like chopped into bits and then slapped together at the end. So like when I'm filming a card, for example, I might do like one step and I film that one step and then I have to stop and then go and do something else. And then I come back to it and I film the next part. And then once I get all that done, then I start the editing process. And that's a little bit more forgiving because you don't have to be right there all the time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
obviously if you stop doing something while you're filming, it's going to look really weird. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to have to do a lot more editing later. But then then there's the whole editing process. And I think the thing I struggle with the most is the voiceovers,
Mm-hmm.
because children are very loud. So generally speaking, I have to do that when they're in bed. So after they've gone to sleep, which is hard because that's the time I stream.
Yeah.
And so I'm a night owl, and so I end up staying up until 4 or 5 in the morning, and
I miss
the
that
kids wake
so
up at
much.
6. So sometimes I don't sleep at all,
Oh
and
God.
sometimes Andrew, my husband, will let me sleep
Mm-hmm.
during the day while he's working. Especially right now, he's working from home, so that's been easier on us, because he can kind of get them started in the morning, and then I get a little bit more time to sleep.
That's good.
Um, but it's hard. It's a lot, and I'm always trying to figure out, do I need to take something off my plate, or can I make this work? And a lot of times it's a big juggling act, but
Mm-hmm.
um, so far it's been going. But we'll see. I tend to have more of like an addictive personality where I get like really into something, and then I want to do like every facet of it. And then I have to kind of reel myself back in and be like, I don't think I have time for this. Or if I do this, I have to give up something else,
Mm-hmm.
just because I don't have enough time to do all of it.
I totally
um,
understand
so
that. I've
that's
done
hard.
right. I've done something kind of like that before where I'm just like when I get into something I really want to do like multiple things. Kind of like I mean, that's kind of how I
Yeah.
am right now because I want to do my streaming and then I have the YouTube that I've been working on and then I have
Yeah.
the podcast that I'm working on as well. So it's like multiple things that I have planned and I keep wanting
It's
to
a
do
lot.
more and like I haven't had any time to
Yeah.
do any of my own crafts and I'm like ugh. Plus I have my
Yep.
full-time job and I'm like
Oh.
can I just not?
It's a lot.
It
I think like
is.
if both my kids were in school, it would be easier because obviously then there would be that block of time where I had during the day
Mhm.
quiet
Right.
and like a dedicated work schedule,
Right.
because right now I don't really have a schedule. My schedule is like non-scheduling.
Right, right.
um and that makes it hard because especially when I have deadlines. So for my craft stuff, I have my deadlines for my YouTube channel that I set for myself,
Mhm.
but I also work directly for craft companies.
Oh, okay.
So kind of the way that that works is the companies will reach out to me and they'll ask if they can send me stuff, and then I will either have like a deadline where I have to create something, or recently I have been teaching classes for Michaels.
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah.
so I will do like a video class for them, but it's on behalf of another company. So I'm using their products or whatever. But so I'll have to plan out the class and then make some like samples and do the photography and come up with a supply list and a tutorial. And there's a lot that goes into it, for not much of a finished product. But so I have those deadlines as well. So those get a little bit more stressful because they are more impactful.
Mhm.
Is if I don't finish those deadlines, then the companies aren't going to want to work with me anymore.
Right,
Whereas
right.
like my YouTube channel, it's like, I didn't get a video done today, like I'll just post it tomorrow, or then, you know what I mean? It's not a
Right,
huge
right.
deal. Obviously consistency would be great. I
Right.
would probably do better if my videos were more consistent, but it's life.
Right? You can only do so much with it. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's kind of the beauty with YouTube when you were saying that you did like you did the videos at bits in ugh, you did the videos in bits and pieces
Yeah.
and then you put them all together. That like for some reason in my brain because of the way that I've been doing YouTube videos is like I have uh like games that I'm playing and I'm trying to like play the game and then like edit it to like
Yeah.
shorten everything and it's just like it's so stressful because it's all in one really long thing and you have to like cut it all up
It's
into
yeah.
pieces.
It's a lot. And I feel like editing gameplay is so difficult
Mm-hmm.
versus craft stuff for me, because the craft stuff, I know what I need to keep in, right? Like, oh, I need to show this step. this is really important. Like I cut it out here, or I like put on some sequins here, or I did whatever it was. I need to show that step, but all the extra stuff I can just cut out and then I can fade it into, make a transition and make it work. But with video games, I feel like it's difficult because if you cut out one part, it can make it confusing as to like what happened, or I mean, depending on the kind of content
Right.
you're making, but it can be harder to edit. And I feel like, at least with the card stuff or crafting, I have a specific thing that I'm doing. So, like, I know there's a start and I know there's a finish. And it's very intentional. Whereas with gaming, you kind of have to have your like idea of what you want the video to be about and then go back and get the footage, I feel like.
Right.
Um, because that seems to be more impactful, because then you have the clips you need. Whereas like if you just have all this footage and you're like, well, I have 4 hours of footage, let's try to make something out of it. It's so difficult to make a coherent video.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's difficult. It's hard.
Trying to find all the bits and pieces that you actually want to keep and are like, well,
Right.
is this actually important for somebody to see? Like right now
Right.
I'm trying to do a 100% achievement run on Stardew Valley.
Yes.
And
Oh my
it's like so
gosh.
difficult because I'm like, is it important for them to see all of the cutscenes that I did? I'm like, do they need to see all of them?
Oh.
Or do
Hmm.
I need to have them, they don't need to see me walking from one end of the farm to the other end of the farm. But then if I
Mm-hmm.
cut that bit, then they're like, oh, but where did they go? Like, did they just jump over
Yeah.
into into that area? So it's difficult to figure out which bits and pieces in gaming content that you want
Yeah.
to post.
And then like how you can edit them too. So like
Mm-hmm.
maybe they don't need to see you walking, but like maybe you could speed it up a ton so it's just like or whatever
Right.
they that and that helps condense the content a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to make those decisions, and I struggle with making decisions on a regular basis.
That's me.
It's my life.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you want me to decide what I want to eat for dinner?
I know,
No.
like, and you timed that perfectly because my husband just came over here with my dinner. Just put it right there. um because I can't ever make decisions on my own either, and so I always just have him decide on food. So he just made me some pizza.
Nice.
What
I
was that?
see. I have a problem where I don't want to decide, but I don't like any of the things he suggests either.
Yeah. That's the same thing
And
with me.
it's pretty rough.
It just depends because it's
So,
like I give him at least, I'm like, you can get me whatever, but not this. And because like
not this.
I know
Yeah.
that I don't want that specific thing today, but because I know that
Yeah.
he's possibly thinking of that. So I'm like, okay, not that, but anything else, go for
Yeah.
it. But with like, I've been trying to figure out with YouTube content, trying to figure out what's the thing that like draws people in, and that's something that's interesting as I'm posting all the different things that I have so far. I have a couple of like Animal Crossing speed builds and people seem to love those. And I did a witchy one and that one got the most views that I have had, which is like
So,
175-ish. And
yeah.
so like people are really liking it because it's witchy inspired and they're like, "Oh, I relate to that." And so I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe I should do more speed builds, and then I do more of those, and then I'm like, but I want to do other content as well, and it's just
Right.
trying to find that good spot.
It's hard. And I feel like anymore, it's so difficult to start in content creation because you are expected to have like studio quality videos, or
Yeah.
else like people don't want to watch it. And it's just
Right.
crazy because like I'm one person, like, and I am the photographer, the videographer, the editor, the
Mhm.
voiceover, the personality behind the camera, the social media person, the marketing manager, the like I'm everything. I'm the one woman show. And it's so hard because you're doing so many jobs,
Mhm.
and it's kind of, I guess, expected, but I don't think people realize how much work it is. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
It is. It is a lot, and
It's a lot.
I don't think that people realize how much effort
Mm-mm.
goes into it either. And editing is just a thing on its own, is where you're just looking
Yeah.
at it and you're like, maybe tomorrow,
Yeah.
because it's just
It's
so
really
much.
hard.
It's so
Yeah.
much. Um,
Editing takes so much time,
it does. It really does.
and you
So,
kind of have to have a personality when you edit too, I feel like.
oh yeah, because you're
Um,
like, oh yeah, I'm
because
gonna do
you have to like
this.
be, oh, I want to be funny, or like I need to zoom in on this part and like make some joke, or like I don't know. It just seems like those are the kinds of videos that I see that do really well.
Hmm.
And I just don't necessarily have the eye for that. And I don't know, I struggle.
I get that. And sometimes I feel like I need somebody else to edit my videos, but then like I
Yes.
don't have the funds for that either. Because
Yes, I
it
feel that.
costs so much money sometimes where I'm like,
Yeah.
you do it for me, but then it's like you understand why it costs money because it's so
Yeah.
much work to put into editing in
And it's a
itself.
never ending rabbit hole
Yeah.
because you're like, okay, I want to make YouTube videos. And you're like, well, that seems easy enough, right? Like you just film it and then you put it on YouTube. But you have to learn how to film. And you
Hmm.
have to learn, like, oh, okay, well, what do I need to film? So if it's crafts, you have to figure out a setup for that. If it's video games, you have to figure out your capture card and all the software and equipment and things that you need to record your screen. And then how do I get it from point A to point B? And then I need an editing software, and there's just so much. And then even once you get there, it's like, okay, well, now I have the editing software and I want to edit, but like, how do I do this effect, or how can I have this? Oh, but what if I need an animated intro, or like,
Right.
it's just there's so
It's
much
never
and it gets so
ending.
overwhelming.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I've literally the amount of times I've had to Google things for the software that I've been using with editing. I've looked up so many different things. The amount of times I've had to look up how to zoom in on something is ridiculous because I
Yes.
forgot how to do it the last time.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, I think I got it this time,
it's
and
so
then I just
much.
don't.
Yes. Yeah. And it's just never ending. You're constantly learning, you're constantly trying to figure out how to do the next thing.
Hmm.
Once you have learned or mastered that thing, then it's on to the next. Got to up my game. I got to do it better next time.
Yep, yep. Just
A lot.
constant, constant.
Yeah.
With that being said, is there somebody that like inspires you for your content creation, whether it be your YouTube, your crafting, or like your gaming, Twitch and all that?
That's a good question. I kind of struggle with being inspired by people,
Hmm.
actually. Not that I'm not inspired by people, I
Oh yeah.
am. But that's my problem, I think, is that when I see other people doing things, I sort of get tunnel vision and I lose the ability to focus on my own stuff because I'm like, oh, they're doing that and that's successful. I have to do that. Or I have to find a way to do that and make it my own. And like, then I get so bogged down in worrying about what everyone else is doing that
Yeah.
I don't focus on my own content at all. So sometimes I try to stay like, I don't want to be like a hermit crab or something, like in my own little world or whatever, but like I try and focus on like my relationships with people instead of like what they're doing content wise, just because
True.
I've spent so much time trying to basically be someone else,
Yeah.
and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Um so sometimes what I'll do is I will go like, I think for my art especially, I will go on Pinterest
Hmm.
and just look at stuff and I'll save things, but um I just remember the idea. Even though I save it, I try to not go back and look at it. Because I don't want to create the same thing that someone else created. I want to create whatever I was inspired to create by looking at that thing. So I'll say, okay, like I loved this thing because it had rainbows and it was butterflies and like I really loved just the whole thing. So then I'll go to create something and I'll say, okay, well, what do I remember about it without going back to look at it?
Hmm.
What do I remember about it? And then I will use like I like pick out elements basically and then use that to create my own thing, because otherwise I get that tunnel vision and I'm looking at it and I'm basically recreating whatever they're doing, and that's
Right.
not what I want to do. I
Of
want to make it my
course.
own. Um and so I find that like I have to just kind of like turn on the blinders or whatever. That's probably not the best word. I don't know. Whatever those things are called. Like I don't know. I have
I
to like put my focus on
yeah.
so that basically um I'm not looking at other things and getting distracted by that and then making my stuff too much like theirs.
Yes.
Um,
And that's
that was a very
something.
long-winded answer to your question.
No, but it's perfect though, because like it makes sense. Because like, that's something that a lot of people will do. They'll go ahead and they'll like make something where it's exactly like the same as somebody else's, because
Yeah.
they, like you said, they had tunnel vision and went right to it and were like, oh yeah, I like exactly what they made, and
Right.
I'm going to make it exactly like that. And then they beat themselves up for it because they didn't make
Yeah.
it exactly like that other person. And
Right.
I did that a lot when I was making my bracelets, because there's so many people out there that are making these, and I
Yes.
found the community that is doing the same thing that I was doing. And
Yeah.
all of their stuff like looked like a machine made it almost, but I knew that they
Mhm.
were making it because I watched
So
them make them.
professional.
Yeah, and I'm like, why is
Yeah.
my stuff not looking like that? And instead of focusing
Yeah.
on the fact that my stuff doesn't look like that, I focus more on how to improve on my own things that was making.
Right. Yeah. It's just it's so hard because there is that like added pressure for everything to be Instagram worthy, or I don't know, just like that validation for getting likes and shares and whatever, and it kind of makes it so that we lose the focus on what we're there for, which is either like we enjoy creating, and then additionally on top of that, like maybe we want to make money for doing it, or whatever the end goal is. We kind of lose sight of that in the never ending pursuit of like perfection and social media success, which
Yeah.
doesn't really mean a whole lot because likes don't pay your bills.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Right?
it's rough to figure that out, but it's true. And I did that same thing a lot with my Animal Crossing stuff too. So kind of tying that same vibe or feeling into video games, that like I would go on, Pinterest or wherever trying to find ideas for like whatever I wanted to create on my island. And then I would get so focused on, I need to make it exactly like this because I loved the way it looked. And then I was losing all of my creativity in it because I was just copying what someone else was doing.
Yes.
And so now I go and I look and I say, okay, I liked this style. And then I don't look at it again. And I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm just going to create this vibe. And I remember that I liked that it had two tiers right here, or that it was kind of like a sunken area. And then I try to just make my own version, without like spending too much time looking at it. And I feel like I've been a lot happier because my island feels so much more organic. Um,
Yes.
and it feels like me. You know what I mean? It's like it's not somebody else's, and it's
Yeah.
not, whatever their personality was. It actually is me coming out, which I feel like is so much more rewarding.
For sure, for sure. Because like I've done the same thing where I've looked at Pinterest and I'm like looking at exactly what they're making in their on their island, and I always
Yeah.
go towards more of like cottage course kind
Me
of
too.
esque. But I'm like, I
Yes.
don't want cottage core, but I want kind of like cottage core. So I'm like
Yeah.
trying to find that happy medium where I'm like finding where it's extravagant like those cottagecore islands, but I'm trying to
Yeah.
find it where it's like not as that, because I'm not like that. I don't,
Yeah.
I'm not very cottagecore. I try to be, and then I end up being something else. It's really funny. Like my sense of style is just kind of all over the place.
That's kind of how I am.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I really like this rustic, shabby chic sort of thing. And then also I'm like, oh, but the really modern stuff, I'm like so into that. And then I'm like, oh, but like, look how fancy this looks. This looks really cool. Like, I need this in my life. And it's just a disaster. I do it with my own house in real life.
Oh my god, yeah. Like the when with my when ooh, I just tripped over my words. All of my decorating for my wedding, I was very focused on the idea of making it very unique, because I
Oh,
wanted it
yeah.
to be something where somebody would never see that. And it was exactly that, because every time we went around, my mom was like, oh, what about, and it wasn't really my mom, my sister was making fun of the idea, because she was like, oh, what about this? And we would be in the middle of Hobby Lobby, and it's this very
Oh,
rustic,
not Hobby
like
Lobby.
yeah, it was very rustic, like uh I don't know, board that said something about being married or whatever. It was really rustic, and I was just like, anything that has to do with rustic is not happening at this wedding. That is so basic, and I'm not doing it. So it was just very fandom
Oh.
based, and I was like staying far away from anything that was, I guess, rustic and basic to
Yeah.
me, because I just wanted to be out of the ordinary. I don't know why. I just really
Mm.
did. I wanted something different.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm such a sucker for rustic stuff though that I would have just been like, "Yes, give me all of the rustic
It's
stuff.
just
It's so pretty. You want me to have my wedding in a barn? Okay, I'm there." Like I would have been that girl. But we did our ceremony at home, like at
ah.
my husband's parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
Um because we didn't have enough money really to like do some big thing. And so we tried to make it like as simple as possible, and but I picked gray and yellow as our wedding.
Ours were blue and yellow.
Yeah, yeah, well.
And it's
I'm
because
like, it worked out, but it was kind of an odd choice looking back. Like, why did I pick those? I don't know.
I mean, honestly, gray and yellow are really pretty color. Yellow is
They are,
really
I mean,
pretty
they are,
color.
but for a
Eh,
wedding, I didn't know. I don't know. It worked out. I think everything looked really nice, but
perfect. All right, so we're gonna switch on over to our gaming news segment on the episode. Now, I don't know uh, what you know for sure about like the gaming news kind of world, but I will just kind of go off of what I have, and then we'll kind of banter off of that. So, Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury came out yesterday. Did you buy that or no?
I have not. I have been a little off the not off the radar, but I have been buying a bunch of like random games,
Yes, like indie
including
games.
Ark. Well, probably not. I don't know. Like I feel like they're all survival like sims of some sort.
Okay, okay.
So I bought Rust and that was traumatic, so I returned that actually. I don't know if you've played that game.
I haven't, but I've heard of it. Like I haven't even seen
Wow.
gameplay of it.
I was attacked by a naked person on the beach immediately upon spawning, and then I died. Um, and it was too much for me. There was parts flopping that I did not was not prepared for, especially not to experience on stream for the
Oh
first
my
time. I
god.
was not prepared. I was not prepared. So I returned that one. But I've been buying similar type games. Like Ark Survival Evolved, I think is what it's called. And then uh I just got Immortals Phoenix Rising or
Oh, I've heard
Phoenix
of that one as
Immortals
well.
Rising or something. I haven't tried it yet, but it's supposed to be similar to Breath of the Wild, and I
Mhm.
love Breath of the Wild.
Mhm.
So um I got that one, and then I just got Valheim,
Okay, I
which
heard
I
of
think
that
a
one
lot of
as
people are
well.
playing, but it just came out.
Mhm.
And it's beautiful. The characters are kind of awful looking, but the actual scenery and stuff is gorgeous. Um, it's like Nordic sort of vibes, like
Ooh.
Viking stuff.
Okay.
That and then I think I'm going to be purchasing Raft also, the one where you like
Oh,
have to like build a raft and survive and not get eaten by a shark.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I've heard of all these games and I see people playing them. I just never actually like watch them and I really need to. I really need to
yeah,
like expand a little bit. I'm so
they all seem
Nintendo
interesting.
based that like I
I
feel like
love
I need to get
Nintendo
out.
stuff. I actually see I'm so bad that I don't really keep up on the gaming news, I feel like. So
Mhm.
I didn't even know that those games came out. Um,
Right. So like
I didn't even know.
Super Mario 3D World was a Wii U game
Oh,
originally,
okay.
and then they redid it this year. I think it's because of Mario's anniversary is coming up, and
Yes.
so they redid it and made it for a Switch port, and then they added something in it with Bowser's Fury. It was just like a whole
Okay.
nother world. It's like you're adding in a second part of the game into it. So,
Ooh,
and I
that's
haven't
cool.
gotten it, and I didn't find out about it until like last week, but apparently they announced it a while ago. But doing
Whoops.
this stuff is making it a little nicer for me to like actually keep up on some of the gaming news because I'm like,
Yeah.
I need to
I'm
actually
out of
keep
the
up on
loop.
some of it, right? I'm never
Yeah.
in the loop of it, but
I
I
don't
thought about
randomly
getting
see
it,
it on
but
Twitter.
yeah. But
Yeah.
one thing I do know that you know about is the Dead by Daylight latest update,
Wow,
and
that's been special.
it has been very interesting. So I don't hate the UI, but the glitches are enormously annoying right now.
Agreed. Yes. I think some things are better.
Hmm.
Some things are astronomically worse.
Yeah.
Um, and some things are just not working at all. Like
Yeah.
they're not right.
Hmm.
And it's been a major turnoff for me, which I think is why I've been going after all these other games, is
Hmm.
because I just haven't been enjoying playing.
Right.
Um, it's not fun. Like I think the first time I loaded the game up, I was like, "Oh, this update isn't going to be that bad."
Mm-hmm.
And then I started playing it and I was like, mm, "Okay, maybe it is that bad." Like I showed that I safety pipped, but they still took a pip away from me and I
Oh,
went back to down a rank. Um
yeah, I went
and
down
so
two
I guess
ranks.
that's just a glitch. I don't know. Um but there's that, and like it looks bizarre when you run now.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually much prefer the crawling animation though. I feel like that's way more realistic and it looks really nice, like when you're downed and you're
Mm-hmm.
crawling. um I think that looks a lot better.
That does look a lot better. The only thing I miss is doing the spinning in circles when you're just waiting for somebody to come
Yes.
get you. That's the one thing I miss about that. Because I
Mhm.
was always dancing with crows because I'd like stay in one spot for so long waiting, and then there's crows above me. And I'm like, oh, I'll just dance with the crows and I'll just go in
Yes.
circles. But like other than
Yeah.
that, like it's just like I don't know. They did issue. They're going to do a new UI like layout.
Oh,
Yeah, they got a lot of people
interesting.
hating it so much that they're like, "Oh, well, let's fix it now," which was kind of interesting to
Huh.
me because if they actually paid attention with the public test build, then they would
They would have
realize
not
that
done this.
they shouldn't have done this one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. I've seen a lot of people saying that they should have listened to the people who were testing it,
Hmm.
and they didn't. They kind of were like, "Hey, test this for us," and then just went ahead with the stuff anyway, even though people said this is awful.
Yeah.
Um, I don't mind the UI, except I didn't really understand it, and I
Yeah.
felt like I wish that there had been like an update, like, "Hey, check this out," and like point to it and show me what it is and what it means. Because
Right.
I played Killer for the first time, and I was like, I have no idea what this hook thing is with the
Oh
little
yeah.
notches and like what is that? Like, and then I found out after playing, like this is how many times you flipped someone.
Mhm.
Um or anyone, I guess. But it was just confusing, and I don't know, for it to just suddenly change and have no information basically on like what was different. I don't know.
Yeah,
It was
they didn't even say in like the little news thing that they have that there was a new UI. It just said that
yeah.
there was that all the new things with like clown and the
Yes.
was it trap? No, it was Wraith. Wraith had
A wraith.
something new
Yeah.
or yeah, it's just it's
Mhm.
they could have put it out a little bit more because what if there's those people that
Yeah.
aren't paying attention on Twitter and seeing all of the new
Right.
updates? Maybe there isn't.
And you just log in and you're like,
You're like,
what is this?
what's this? What's happening?
Yeah.
The one thing that I did like that they did change between the public test build and this one is the on the left hand side they have like the characters, right? And
Yeah.
when somebody got hurt, it was just outlined in red. They didn't have the slash through it in the public test build,
Oh,
and it made it very difficult
interesting.
to understand that person was hurt. I was like, why is that
Right.
flashing red on
Like,
this
what does that
outside?
mean?
It didn't make
Yeah.
sense to me. And then
Yeah.
in the newest one, they went ahead and just had like a slash right through it, meaning that they
Which
weren't
is funny
hurt.
that you say that, because when I saw the slash, I was like, "Oh my God, are they dead? What happened? How are they dead already?" Like,
Right?
I didn't realize that that's what it meant, that it was just that they were injured. I was like, "Oh God, are they dead? Like, how did they die? How did this happen?"
Right.
But
And
yeah.
that's because they didn't actually tell us that they were changing the UI.
Yeah. I feel like there should have been almost like an updated, like a tutorial almost, to be like, hey, here's a tour of the new
Hmm.
updates. Check this out. And then you could skip it if you wanted to, but like it would
Right.
be there for
Hmm.
you to see if you felt like you needed it. Or like, I don't know, when you first load into a game, where it like
Hmm.
is like pointing at this thing and it's like, this means XYZ.
Oh,
Like they could have
yeah,
easily done that, like
for
some sort
sure.
of like update, and then you just click next when you're, like go to the next thing to show me
Yeah,
what this changed. I don't know.
right. And it's, uh, oh my gosh. Oh, they need to update the tutorial to begin with because now
Yes.
since there's new animations, they're gonna need to update that tutorial. And some part of that
Yeah.
tutorial, I remember doing that the first time because it's been about almost a year since I started playing Dead by
Yeah.
Daylight, and when they first came out with or when they have the tutorial, I'm watching it and I could not for the life of me understand what it was saying to find this survivor. I'm like, what are you talking about finding this survivor? I found them. What am I supposed to
Oh.
do? I was supposed to pick them up.
Oh
I didn't
no.
understand that. I didn't understand picking them up because it doesn't say pick up the survivor. It said
It
find
just
the
says find
survivor.
them. Yeah. Well,
So,
and as a survivor, it tells you to struggle off the hook.
yeah.
It
How do you
tells you, it tells you not to wait for your teammates to come get you. It says take your chance, get off the hook. And
right?
so like when I was playing with people who were new, they were like, "But that's what the tutorial said, I was supposed to struggle and get off the hook. What do you mean? Why are you mad that I died?"
And you're like, no, 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 that's not how we play.
It's
Yeah,
not how
there's
this
this
works.
playing the game when you're first when you're first starting out with the game in general. It's so difficult to understand some of the things to do, like don't
Yeah.
teabag all the time, and like
Oh
it's
yeah.
just like don't be doing all these different things. There's just so many like
Yeah.
rules that you just don't understand unless you're
Yes.
playing with other people. So
Yeah.
um doing it on
There's a
stream
lot to
first is
take in for
nice.
sure. There's like a whole like etiquette of the DBD community, I feel
Yeah,
like
there is.
how the last survivor should get the hatch if it was like a, you know what I mean? Like there,
Yeah.
but if you didn't know that that was even a thing, then you wouldn't know to do that. And then people are like, "Oh, toxic." Like, I don't know.
Right? Seriously, like when I first play, like I was playing and I finally understood the whole premise of DBD and like everybody
Yeah.
else's ideas of it, and all like the different rules and things. My husband wanted to start playing it, and so I was like, "Oh yeah, for sure." And then I started playing with him. I was like, "No, no, no, don't do that, don't do that." And I'm like telling
Yeah.
him don't do certain things, and he's just like, "I don't understand what you're talking about."
Yes. Yep, that's how it was when I started having Andrew play, my husband as well. And I'm like, "Why are you running everywhere? Like, stop it. You're leaving scratch marks." Like, but like he just didn't know, and I didn't know when I first started until someone said to me, "Why are you running everywhere? Like, what are you doing?" And I was like, what do you mean? I'm trying to get somewhere quickly." What like they're
Right?
like, "But don't you know that it leaves red scratch marks that only the killer can see?" And I was like, "No, how would I know that?" Like, "What?
Yeah, because you don't see them. You don't see the scratch
No, I
marks.
can't see them."
So
Yeah.
like how are you supposed to know that there's scratch marks happening? And
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just weird. It honestly, they need to update a lot of things with
Yeah.
DVD, and some of the things that they're updating is kind of like, why are you updating that now? You should be working on
Right.
something a little bit different.
Like there
But
should be different priorities maybe.
yeah, and watching
Yeah.
have you watched some of their like campfires or them talking about like their
I haven't.
Q&As? It is
Mm-mm.
so insane to be in there and watching some of the stuff that they're talking about. They're like, "Oh yeah, this is all the stuff we're talking about," and then they like go on and on and on about how, "Oh yeah, we're getting to that. It's on our very long list that's like miles long that we might get to this year."
Probably never get to.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, then maybe you start like figuring out what the community kind of wants, because if you want to keep
Yes.
these people playing this game, you need to
Yeah.
kind of focus on other things as
And be
well.
open to the feedback. Like obviously it's their game,
Mhm.
but if you want an audience to play it, like
Mhm.
maybe listen to what they're saying as far as like what feedback they have about what makes it fun or not fun.
Mhm. And
And
it's
I know I have not been having fun playing
right.
it recently. So until they update it, I probably won't be playing too much.
There is supposed to be another, because there's going to be a patch update. They said, one
Okay.
for that UI, and two because obviously the hitboxes are horrendous, and
Yes.
there's a bunch of other things that obviously need fixing that they
Yeah.
didn't notice when they changed them in the PTV. But other than that, like there's supposed to be that, and then there's this was just the mid chapter update. So with the new chapter update, obviously there's going to be new stuff happening again.
Right.
And when there's a whole new chapter, that usually means a new killer, which at this point is like there's so many. Like, what else
No,
are we
there
gonna
are.
have?
Yeah, there's a lot. And I'm not a huge fan of the most recent killer anyway.
Yeah, it's a little difficult for me to like actually play that
It just
one.
feels so campy to me.
Yeah.
Like, cause I don't know, it just it's not fun to play
Mhm.
against. I've played as the new killer like once or twice maybe, and it was
Mhm.
okay, but I don't know. It was just
Right.
not that great.
Like you said, it was a little bit campy with that one.
Yeah.
And then with Blight, I can't do anything because like I just keep running into the same wall over and over again. I'm
Yes.
just like I look like a pinball machine. Just
That's
keep
what,
hitting
okay,
the thing.
so they call Wraith Bing Bong because you know
Right.
the whatever, and so
Yeah.
then they call Blight Ping Pong, um, because he's just bouncing
Cuz
around
he's
off
just
of everything. And
yep.
I found when he first came out, I had the best success not using his special ability at all. So I would just run around and I was getting 4Ks all the time, like I think 6 or 7 in a row, 4Ks. and
Oh my
that's
god.
not common for me.
Oh my
Um,
god.
but I was 6 or 7 4Ks in a row, and I wasn't even using the special ability at all.
Oh my god.
It was weird.
That's kind of saying something because we're
Mhm.
supposed to be wanting to use this magical or not magical ability, the special
Well,
ability.
but yeah, I mean,
I mean,
yeah.
technically, it is kind of magical. So,
Yes, that's true. Some sort of potion.
yes.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot that they could improve upon. And
For sure.
sometimes I feel like they change things that were fine
Mm-hmm.
when they should have been focusing on other things that were broken.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But not my game.
Yep.
Not what is that? Not my circus, not my monkeys or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't
Something
know.
like that. Yep. Yeah. I think that's the right way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. At some point, we'll probably see them change everything. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
We'll see if we keep playing by that time or not. I don't know.
Right. Okay, so let's move on over to our guest topic, which is kind of funny because we're going from content creation, which has to do with kind of the guest topic as well,
Yeah.
to DVD and news of sorts, and then right back to Etsy and stuff like that. But the guest topic today is Etsy. We know that Bootsy likes to has cards that they sell on Etsy, and I've talked about selling on Etsy as well. Right now, my Etsy shop is closed because I don't have time to put anything on there. I have stuff, but I haven't finished making the things.
Yeah.
So with
And that process is
Etsy,
so time consuming.
it's so consuming. Um, what made you want to sell your product, which you did kind of go over, saying that you wanted to get out of your mommy funk that you were having?
Yeah. I felt like I think the biggest drive for me was that I wasn't working. And for me, so I've been living on my own since I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been very independent. And to go from having, I had like a whole career. And when I moved from my job that I was in across the country to be with my husband, so a backstory on that is that my husband and I have known each other since second grade, but we never really like hung out or connected or anything. And then after he finished college and we were adults and we reconnected through our love of Minecraft. And anyway, we ended up getting together, but we did not live in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved and I gave up my job, which I had been working at for 5 years, and I had worked my way up through like kind of the drudgery of all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
I had gotten to like I'd moved out to Seattle and I did corporate work in the privacy department for a while, and then I moved back to where I had been located before, and I was doing I was an assistant manager and I had a team of 40 people that reported to me. um, and I did a lot of work for me to have like a career.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I moved, I transferred with the company that I was with, but then they put me in basically a starting position, and it was a very miserable experience
Oh God.
working at the store location rather than like the corporate or warehouse sort of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
environment. And so I ended up quitting and I was looking for a new job. Well, then we got married and I got pregnant with our son, and we stopped looking for a job for me because I thought, okay, well, I'm going to be doing the whole pregnancy thing and then I'll have a newborn and then it's going to be so difficult to kind of try to figure all of that out. So we'll kind of put it on hold and then I'll go back, once we figure that out, and then we were like, okay, but daycare is going to cost more than I can even make. So is there a point for me to go back to work? And so we kind of got stuck in this limbo of like, it doesn't make financial sense for me to work.
Right.
So then enter, we have a newborn. I'm struggling because I no longer have a career. I've kind of felt like I'm losing my sense of self. And like I just like I didn't really have any direction and I didn't know what I was even doing with my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so to kind of regain some of that, I wanted to have a purpose. And so I felt like, okay, if I'm contributing to the family, if I am making money doing something, even if it's something that I love, then I will feel better and I will feel more fulfilled.
For sure.
And because I wasn't feeling that, I was just feeling like lost and honestly depressed because I felt like, well, I've given up like my whole chance at a career and a life of my own independence.
Yeah.
Um, and now I don't have a job and I'm just the stay-at-home mom. And so I was looking for some sort of fulfillment there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started trying to sell things. And then I started doing craft shows as well. So that
Mm-hmm.
was a good way for me to kind of branch out. So I would take all my cards and I would pack them up. And then I would go and like travel around my local area and I would set up my stuff and I would sell them and people would buy stuff. And it was nice because then there was kind of the human element to it as well. But it wasn't like
Yes.
a 9 to 5 job where I had to go and always be like a salesperson or whatever. I got to do the creativity portion of it and then sort of interact with people when I chose to.
I love that.
But yeah.
You're pretty much living what I always wanted to do when I was younger. I always wanted to do craft shows and make all this
Yeah.
stuff and constantly craft because I loved crafting so much when I was younger.
Yeah.
And now
And the
I
pandemic has
found
put
that,
a big
ooh,
wrench in that
I'm sure
because
it,
I can't do craft shows anymore because they
right,
don't happen.
right. And
Yeah.
instead they end up being like online craft shows on like Facebook and
Right.
stuff. I got
Yeah.
invited to a couple of them and I'm like, that's nice.
Yeah.
But Etsy is so nice because then you can go ahead and find so many different things that you could have for that you're looking for that you didn't even think about looking for. So it's like a craft show. It's just not seeing somebody face to face, and it's
Right.
a lot larger.
Yes.
So with
Yeah, it's easy to go
Etsy,
down the rabbit hole on Etsy for sure.
oh my god, yes, it's
There's so much.
I was on there this morning. I just bought like $40 worth of Animal Crossing stuff this morning.
Oh my gosh.
But
Wow.
it's okay because they're gonna be stickers, and I'm so excited for them.
Yay.
Um, so with Etsy, why did you choose Etsy compared to other selling stores that are online?
No.
You just
That's actually a good question. I think I don't remember. I feel like maybe it was that I looked at eBay or
Mhm.
something, and then in my search of like where to sell stuff,
Mhm.
it just came up. I don't think I really knew much about Etsy
Mhm.
before that. And so I was just like, oh, okay, well, this handmade platform, this seems like a good place. And so I went with that.
Mhm.
Um, just because I didn't want to have to learn how to have my own website
Oh
and
god.
manage all of that and then be responsible for privacy and like it was just so much.
Mhm.
And so that seemed the easiest route I think to take. But unfortunately for me, Etsy is a huge time sink because all of my cards are one of a kind.
Mhm.
Um, that I don't make a bunch of cards that are the same. They're
Mhm.
all unique for the most part. Like occasionally I might make like more than one, but it's like two or something.
Right.
So I don't generally make multiples of cards, but Etsy is set up to sell recurring products
Oh
easiest.
yeah.
So you can set the quantity like 100 or whatever. And if you have the
Mhm.
same item that you're going to be making over and over and over again, that's perfect because you make the listing once and then it just renews every time someone buys it. But for me, I have to make an individual new listing and photograph every card every time and like
Mhm.
do all of this work for this one listing that's
Mhm.
going to sell for basically next to nothing.
Mhm.
And then, it takes so much time and that
Right.
I get really behind, which is where I'm at now.
Plus the the
Sure.
the listing after a certain amount of listings you end up having to get charged for each listing that you have on there.
Yes. Yeah, so you get, it's like 20 cents for a listing, and it lasts
Mhm.
for 4 months, I think.
Mhm.
But if it doesn't sell during that time, it renews and you get charged 20 cents again. So, I
Yep.
mean, if you don't sell your items, I mean, you can end up paying more than the item is worth
Right.
or
If you
cost or you would
don't.
sell it for just to
Mhm.
have it listed, which can be very discouraging.
Oh yeah, for sure, for
And
sure.
I think price is a very touchy subject for most
Oh.
people because, um I have a very hard time valuing my work and I
Mhm.
don't know what to charge for things. And I
Mhm.
always feel like I am shopping my own products with my budget, which is small,
Mhm.
not with what it should be worth or what other people are willing to pay for it.
Mhm.
Because greeting cards, for example, you go to Target or Walmart or wherever, probably Target, not necessarily Walmart, but Target, and the greeting cards are like $15.
Right.
But I'm over here making a 100% handmade card, and I'm like, oh my gosh, can I charge 7? Can I charge 8? Like, no one's gonna buy them. And I put sometimes hours of work into a card, and then I have to list it and photograph it and all the things that go behind that. And I'm making like, I don't know, if I worked it all out, it'd be like $2 an hour or something, or
Oh my God.
not
Yeah.
even,
Yeah. I
you
totally
know?
understand that too. Cause like trying to figure out pricing for anything is so difficult. Cause you're like,
Yeah.
my dad had a very long conversation with me when I first started making bracelets and posting them on Etsy, because he's like, are you sure that this is something that you want to like put in at
Yeah.
this price? Because like, how long does it take you to make this bracelet? If
Right.
you put it at this price, you're getting charged this much, and
Right.
or for each hour that you've worked for it, and you're not even including all the materials that you're using and how many
Right.
those are. And so I ended
And the
up,
time it took you to go to the store to get them, and the gas that you
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's so much.
There's so much,
Yeah.
and it's so difficult to figure out what the pricing should be, because like I was selling my bracelets for more expensive on my end, I thought it was, and then somebody came up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so cheap because it's like handmade and everything. I'm just like, are you
Yeah.
sure? Because it seems
Mhm.
like it's expensive to me. Like, I
Yes.
wouldn't buy this for $20. Like, and you want to
Right.
buy it for $20? Like,
Yep. And it's funny because I've had to learn, and I'm still not there yet, but at least the knowledge is there. So someday I will be there.
mm-hmm,
Um, if someone comes into your booth or your store or your whatever, and they say, wow, that is so expensive, it's not worth that, they
mm-hmm.
are not your target market.
True.
And they may not buy it. And that sucks because it's a loss of a sale. But if they're not the person that your stuff is targeted for, then that's fine. Like,
Mm-hmm,
they're not your market. Because, for example, I will not spend like $30 on a pair of jeans. Like, that's so much to me. And like,
mm-hmm,
I'm so cheap when it comes to stuff like that. But there are people who will spend $50, $100, $500, $1,000. There's like a market for everything for
mm-hmm.
one pair of jeans. And it's a pair of jeans no matter how you look at it. But there's a market for each of those price points, and you just have
For
to
sure.
find your market, and then you'll be successful. But finding that market is very difficult.
Yes, yes. I'm trying to figure out
Man.
where to like advertise it and stuff, and how to advertise
Yes.
it. That is
Yes.
that's a big thing too, because that's very
Yes.
similar uh with Twitch and stuff like that. Like how to advertise your Twitch channel. It's
Yes.
the same thing as trying to advertise your Etsy shop.
Yes. And I think it's weird because somewhere along the way, it became, not to everyone, but to some people, like, wrong to want to make money off of your content.
Oh.
Or if you're selling something, you're doing your craft for the wrong reason. Or if you want to make money off of Twitch to be able to support your family or pay for your child's daycare, or that's my scenario. I want to pay for daycare so that he can go to preschool and stuff. But um somehow, if you want to make money off of something that you're doing, it's wrong. Like, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And then so that there's this almost like a guilt cycle of,
Mm-hmm.
should I even promote this? Because then people are going to think I only want to make money. Or like, can I share my YouTube video in this group? Because then people will think I only want to do it for the views, or I only posted this so that people would like it. And it's just this weird cycle of like guilt almost, or shame for wanting to have that hustle
Yeah.
and make something more out of your hobby, whatever that is. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's so bizarre that we've gotten to that point
It
that, like,
is. It's so weird.
I don't
Because
know.
like for me personally, like I'm trying to do, I would like to become a Twitch streamer, as well as just like a content creator is what I've been saying. I want to become a content creator. I want to be able to do Twitch streaming and YouTube videos
Yes.
and all of my crafts and stuff, so that way I can quit my job. That is my
Right.
current goal right now. And so like
Yeah.
I'm doing this to make money, but I'm doing it because I love doing it
Right.
as well, because like I
Right.
love having conversations like this with somebody,
Yeah.
and bouncing off ideas and stuff like that. So like I really like doing that, or playing video games. Like I've always loved playing
Huh.
video games. I grew
Me
up
too.
playing video games. So like
Yep.
it's something that I always see myself doing for like the rest of video game life.
Forever. Yeah. Yeah.
So like I want to be able to make money and survive off of it with my money, and as well as my husband
Right.
making money. And so like it's
Yes.
just it's so difficult because there is people that are like, no, you can't do that. That's, no one's gonna want to watch you if you're just doing this for the money. It's like, I'm not
Right.
doing it just for the money, but the money is very nice.
Right. Right. And I just find it so odd, the concept that you shouldn't like try to make money, or that like if you try to make money that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand like only doing something for the money. Like you're only like, I just want to get rich, give me your money. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, like I can understand like the mindset there is not right. But wanting to get paid
Mm-hmm.
for work,
Mm-hmm.
um it shouldn't be this weird taboo thing, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it definitely is right
Mm-hmm.
now. And especially in content creation, and I think part of that is because there is a generation of people who didn't grow up with the internet, um who are probably older than us,
Mm-hmm.
by maybe a generation or so,
Mm-hmm.
who don't believe that working online is working. And they think that if you don't go to a real job
Mm-hmm.
where you clock in and you pay the man, or like you put your service to the man or the government or whoever it is, whatever the job is,
Right.
that you're not like actually working.
Yeah.
But as you and I can both attest, content creation is a boatload of work,
Yeah.
and it takes hours and hours of like education, learning, practice, time just to make the content, plus
Mm-hmm.
all the behind the scenes stuff that goes into it. Um, and it's not just, I just pop online and like throw me your money. Hello, give me all your money.
There's so much more to
But I
it than
think,
that. Yeah.
yes, but there is this like a view, I guess, that's what it is, that you just turn on the camera and that's all you did for that 4 hours that you were live. That's the only 4 hours you worked. But people in content creation, generally speaking, do 3 or 4 times the amount of work of when they're live, like,
Mm-hmm.
or of time period. So they
Yeah.
may be working 12 hours a day. Um, and then there's still this feeling that you shouldn't get paid like at all.
It's so silly. It's
It's
yeah, I
weird to
know.
me.
It's the weirdest thing to me that people think that, like, trying to explain to my grandparents, because my parents understand it because they're
Yeah.
they're very like understanding of things like that. But my
Yeah.
like trying to explain something to my grandparents, being like, oh yeah, this is what I'm doing. I'm online and I'm playing video games, and I
Yes.
half the time I'm just swearing at somebody coming at me and trying to murder me, like. Or I'm on
They don't
there and I'm
understand.
playing. No, they don't understand. They're like, okay, well, maybe you could show that to me later. I was like, I can show you clips of things that
Yeah.
I've done. And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe you should show me that sometime so I can understand it a little bit better. I was like, that's cute. Like, they actually
It's
want to see my clips.
adorable.
I just don't want them to see me live because I kind of like panic a little bit when I have
Oh
like
yeah.
family members come in, because I've had my aunt come in here, which is totally fine. It's just like when she's come in,
Can
and
be
I'm like
awkward.
I kind of panic a little bit. I'm like, hi, what are you doing here?
Yeah. And then you worry about like what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind
Oh
of feel
no,
like
I
you have
don't
to
even care
moderate
about
yourself a
that.
little bit. Yeah.
That I tell everybody that's ever been in my Twitch chat that is like knows me outside. I'm like, if you see me acting a certain way, that is because that is 100% me. And if you think that's not me, then obviously you don't know me
Yeah.
because this is me. That's something that I'm like specific about. I when I'm on here, I am not putting on a face at all. I am
Yeah.
1000% me.
Yeah.
I can't put on a face. If I put on a face, then you don't want to do it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you don't
Yes.
want to do what you're doing. You're just putting on
Yeah.
a face and being an actress. It's like, I'm not getting paid enough for that.
Definitely. Yes. I struggle sometimes to want to go live, I
Hmm.
think, because I'm not putting on an act, but there is a certain amount of me that is like more on
Yeah.
them than I would necessarily be if it was just me and there was no camera and there was no chat or whatever. And
Hmm.
so sometimes I do feel like sometimes it feels like a performance, and I struggle with that feeling
Yeah.
because it's still genuinely me. It's my personality, but it is more draining
Hmm.
than if I were just playing games and there was not that other aspect
Hmm.
to it for me. And so I struggle with trying to like draw that line between like authentic me and then like still entertaining me.
Right, right.
Because you always worry that like you're not entertaining enough. Well, I mean, I don't know if you do. I do. Worry if I'm entertaining enough for people to want to watch. And then obviously if I don't know if you leave your viewer count on or not, but when I do leave my viewer count on, I struggle where I'm like, oh, like I must not be very entertaining today because like there's nobody here, or you know
Hmm.
what I mean, or there's less people than there normally would be. And so then I sometimes try to turn it off, but then I get stressed about not knowing how many people are there.
I
I don't
struggle with that too.
weird.
I always have mine on just because like I'm like curious because it's like
Yeah.
curiosity killed the cat sort of thing. I'm always looking because
Yes.
I'm like, how many people are actually in here? Oh, okay.
Right.
There's that many people in here. That's cool. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Even if
Yeah.
it's like a lower number than I'm used to. There's been a time where I'm usually having a certain amount of people in here, and
Right.
I get like nervous that there's not that amount of people in here. I'm like,
Yes.
I'm playing
Yes.
like Animal Crossing is where I get the most views, and I'm sitting there and
Oh,
I'm playing
okay.
Animal Crossing, and I'm like, why is my number so low? This doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. And then
Yeah.
part of that I found on my end anyway is because of some of the people that I share a community with. Like we have the same kind of general community. They're
Yes.
also live at the same time.
Yes.
And then when I see that, I'm like, oh, so they're
Yeah.
not watching me, they're watching them instead. I'm like, that kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But,
It
I
hurts.
would watch them too.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the hard thing because you want to make a community and you want to kind of branch out and make friends that
Hmm.
are around the same level as you,
Hmm.
or people who are kind of in the same spot as you streaming wise, like
Hmm.
maybe they have the same number of followers or maybe they have the same general number of viewers.
Hmm.
And it gets hard sometimes because for me in my experience, what happens is that the people that I have really grown to love, they all stream at the same time as me,
Yeah.
and we all have the same schedule, and so we're competing
Hmm.
for the audience. And
Hmm.
so then it is really disappointing if
Yeah.
the people aren't in your chat or they're in somebody else's, or I'm sure they would feel that way if the people were in my chat. um
Hmm.
and it just it's so hard. And so I feel like I need to find ways to find community that aren't streaming at the same time as me,
Um,
or on different days or
right.
something.
I
I don't
mean, that
know.
makes sense. I mean, so like, I know it's a little different because, you have kids. I obviously
Yeah.
I have William, my stepson, but he's not here all the
Mhm.
time. And so when I'm not streaming, or no, I've changed. Sorry, I realized what I was saying. I changed streaming times multiple times because I
Yeah.
used to stream later at night. Like when I first started streaming, I used to stream at like 10 p.m.
Oh my.
Yeah, I used to stream really late at night because that
And
was
that's
just,
Pacific too, right?
yeah. So
Oh
it'd be
yeah, I would have
like,
been like in bed.
yeah. So I used to stream really late at night, and then I changed it to like a little bit earlier in the day because my hours at work changed, and so like I'm constantly
Yeah.
changing my hours because of work. Like I started going to about 3 p.m. Pacific because I get off of work at 1. And so then that gives
Yeah.
me about 2 hours to find something to eat, relax, watch somebody else that's, streaming before my time that I
Yeah.
usually do, and kind of hang out there, and then I go into streaming. Um, but it's a little different. I mean, I guess it's kind of because work is kind of like the thing that pretty much puts my schedule into tact.
Yeah.
Trying to figure that out, but I don't even know what I would be doing if I didn't have my current job. Like, what would my time be? And then
Yeah.
like trying to figure out like finding a community that would stay in during that same time. I even did
Right.
like 8 a.m. streams. I did a couple of those because
Oh wow.
I was working a graveyard shift,
My
and I
gosh.
would get off at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'd come home, grab something to snack on, and I'd go straight into streaming. And I would stream for a
Yeah.
couple of hours and then pass out in
And then go to
bed.
bed. Yeah.
It's just easier for me to
That's
stream
hard.
after work rather than before work.
Right. Because then you feel stressed and like the I don't know, the impending I have to go to work thing is
Yeah.
stressful.
You're like looking at it,
Yeah.
you're like, oh no, like yesterday I streamed before work and I had my Celeste makeup on and I'm like, I have to end before this amount of time because I have to go into the bathroom and I have to take off all of my makeup off and then I can go to work. so
Yeah,
like
that's hard.
so like the last half of my stream of playing, I think I was playing DBD at that point and I'm just like stressed because of that and not even about playing Dead by Daylight. I was just like,
Yeah.
I have to go to work and I have to be there for
Yeah.
8 hours and I've been up since
Oh
7 o'clock this
no.
morning.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, it's just
I
one
feel
of
like
those
maybe
weird
it'll get
things.
easier for me once both of the kids are in school, because then
Mm-hmm.
I'll have that daytime out,
Yeah,
like that time that I could stream during the day or something.
for sure.
But I don't know. Because I do feel like for me, I'm missing out on time that I could be spending with my family when I stream.
Mm-hmm.
And so my schedule used to be on the weekends, on
Mm-hmm.
Saturday and Sunday, I would stream during the day, like at
Mm.
1 p.m. And then I just felt like I was missing out on like being with my family when I had the chance to. And so then
Yeah.
I switched to all nighttime, and I switched it to 8 p.m. Eastern because then the kids were hopefully already in bed by the time I was starting. And so then I'm still missing out on spending time with my husband, but at least I wasn't missing out on spending time with everyone and like missing dinner or like
Right.
it was hard to try to figure that out. But maybe once they are both in school, it will be less hard.
Right. All right. So, we're gonna go into the Q&A part, because we are getting closer to that point where we need to start ending. So the Q&A here. Let me see. Let me refresh to make sure I got everything. We have, come on, three questions. So the first question was from Andrew. Andrew Adventures says, "What made you want to start streaming? Sorry if you've already answered slash been asked this question."
Oh, it's okay. Like streaming on Twitch specifically?
Probably,
Or
I think that's what it is
yeah.
streaming on Twitch specifically.
So I had figured out the whole thing with YouTube, and having done like the card making stuff, I had kind of gotten familiar with the software of like how to go live and how to make it all work. And then I started doing live streams on my YouTube channel for card making. So I had kind of gotten that aspect as well, and I felt comfortable doing that. But then basically around the time when I'll tell you exactly how it happened. I started a Twitch channel for my card making. And I started trying to do like dual streams basically, where I was on YouTube and I was also streaming on Twitch. But I literally got no viewers
Mm,
because I didn't really understand how Twitch worked at that point. Like
right, right.
I didn't really know, like I didn't know. I didn't really know. And so I had no viewers. I was streaming to no one and I just gave up. And I was like, oh, no one wants to watch card making on Twitch. They all want to watch video games. Okay, got it. No one's watching art apparently. And I just didn't get too deep into it. And I just
Mm-hmm.
thought maybe this isn't the platform for this. And so I didn't do it again for a while. And then I thought, well, what if I just play video games instead of that? And because I liked the idea of the community on Twitch better, and just the whole dynamic of it seemed more fun to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, well, I want something lighter anyway. I want to do something different. I love to play video games. Why don't I just try streaming? And so I did that. And so when I started streaming, it was right before Animal Crossing was about to come out. So I
Yes.
started streaming with the intent that once Animal Crossing came out, that was going to be what I was going to stream. So my first couple of streams were Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was completely random and weird. And I didn't know what to do, or like, I had no idea what was going on. And I was just surprised that I got any viewers like
Mm-hmm.
at all. And I mean, it was fun, but then once Animal Crossing came out, I was like, yes, I found my thing that I want to do. And I did that for months,
Mm-hmm.
months and months and months. All I did was play Animal Crossing, and then I got burnt out.
Yep.
And I didn't want to play it anymore. And that's when I started kind of branching out and trying different things. And now I'm like really, really variety streamer.
That's honestly like the most. It sounds bad the way I'm gonna say this, but it's kind of the most common thing is that
Yeah.
I know like um our previous guest Shiny and I
Hmm.
both started streaming last year to play Animal Crossing because we knew that Animal Crossing was
Yep.
going to be coming out, and that was my
Yep.
intent. I was like, I'm going to play Animal Crossing, and that is the only thing I'm going to
Yep.
play. I'm so excited.
Yep.
And but when we first started playing, or when we first started streaming, Animal Crossing wasn't out. So for an entire year, we were like messing around with all other things like Stardew Valley and stuff like that. And then Animal
Yeah.
Crossing came out, and that's what we were doing for 3 to 4 months. We were just playing Animal Crossing
Yep.
straight, and very rarely would we play anything else. And then we started expanding to other games. So
Yeah.
I've been playing, obviously I have Dead by Daylight, and then I've been going back to my roots of streaming and going back to Stardew Valley because of the newest update that came out, and I've just been loving
Yeah.
that so much. But variety is kind of something that I think that everybody should be doing instead of just finding one game and playing
One
it.
game.
It's just
Yeah.
it's so difficult to find or to build more off of that on
Yes.
Twitch, because on Twitch it's like you have to play one game and one game only, and you have to grind
Yep.
that one game forever until you're
Forever.
like a master at that damn game and become
Yep.
a Twitch partner. And as soon as you're a partner,
Yep.
you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard not to think about that stuff too. Like, oh, maybe I just play whatever will get the most views until I can get partner or something. And then I'm like, but why?
Mhm.
Why? And obviously, I feel like for most people, the goal is to get partner.
Mhm.
Um, and I have that goal too. Someday I would love to be partner,
Mhm.
mostly because then I wouldn't have to worry about viewer counts.
Yep.
But you say that, and then I think it would still be
It would still be that way
it would still
because
be there.
of like sponsors and stuff like that. Trying to get sponsors, they
Yeah,
look at your view count and they want to know
yeah,
your concurrent viewership. They want to
yeah.
know how many people are consistently in your chat. And so if
Yes.
you want those sponsors, you got to make sure that
Yep.
your numbers are still up. And it's like,
Right.
ugh.
Yeah, so there's always that goal you're chasing.
Mhm. Always.
Oh well.
It sucks.
Yeah.
So Vivi asked, what is a crafting medium you would like to try but haven't yet?
I know. It's really out there as far as stuff for me, but I have a friend who does resin.
Ah.
She makes jewelry with pressed flowers, like dried
Mhm.
flowers in like a resin cast,
Mhm.
and it is absolutely gorgeous. The stuff she makes is so stunning,
Yeah.
and I like sometimes I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I just need to go buy all the supplies for that. I want to try it. It's so pretty." And then I'm like looking around at my craft room like
She
there's not a single space in this room for another craft. So either
Oh.
give up card making or something else
Or
because
something
something's
else,
got to
yeah.
give. But it's really cool. It's really pretty. If you, I don't know if I want to send you down that rabbit hole, but
I would
resin
love to be
casting
in
with like
that rabbit
flowers,
hole. I just got paid,
so
so
pretty. It's
uh
so pretty. The stuff she makes like earrings out of them, so they'll have
oh,
like dried flowers in them, and it's
ooh.
like a clear resin, so she can make it into like shapes and stuff. And she sometimes does ones that look like little terrariums. So like
Oh my
it'll be like
goodness.
the wire frame on the outside, and then like the
Mhm.
dried flowers inside the resin cat. It's so pretty,
Oh, I love that idea because
so pretty.
as resin is definitely something that I've looked into as well. Because
Yeah,
I don't have like a specific craft that I'm very into anymore because
yeah,
I stopped making bracelets because I was doing commissions for the longest time, and I felt so drained from doing those commissions. And it takes
yeah.
so many hours to make these bracelets, and then I keep getting the constant, oh, are you done with it yet? Are you done with it yet? Are you done
Oh,
with it yet? And I'm
oh
like,
no,
I'm
no,
trying.
I'm
I'm like,
not.
I'm working a full-time job. Like one of them was my coworker
Yeah.
at the time.
Oh,
They don't work with me anymore, but they
yeah.
were with me at work one day, and they're like, "Oh, are you almost done with it?" I was like, "I'm like a quarter way through it." They're like, "Oh, do you know how long it's gonna be till you're done with it?" I'm like, "You do realize that I work here 40 plus hours? Like you see me
Yep. You
busting
see
my
me
butt
here.
here,
Yeah.
like." You do realize this. And then she's like, oh no, I understand that, but like, are you done with it yet? It's for my daughter. I'm like, I know it's for your daughter, and I'm getting there, but like,
I'm trying,
I'm
okay.
trying.
Yeah. That's hard. Commissions are draining for
Mhm.
sure. I've done some emote commissions recently, and
Mhm.
it's a lot.
Mhm.
It's It's hard. And I feel like it's difficult because you're putting so much weight on like, are they going to like it? Or am I going to have spent all this time and then they're going to not be happy and then I'm not going to get paid and then I'm going to have to do it again, or they're just not going to want it at all, or
Or you're gonna
like
finish
so
it
many
completely and
things
then they're
could
gonna
go
be like,
wrong.
refund.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally get that, especially when it's like specific for that person, so you can't like resell
Yeah.
it or something like that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's so like scary. And
Yeah.
I've told myself that if I ever do commissions again, that I will do them to a specific way where I'm like only do one or two commissions at a time instead of just
Yes.
taking in 10 people at a time and being like,
Yeah.
yeah, I could totally take all 100 bracelets that you guys want to be done. Like, yeah, I can
Right.
totally do that. No, I'm never
Yeah, it's
doing
only
that
going
ever
to take me a year.
again.
It's
Seriously.
fine.
Like,
This is
I will
fine.
never do that again. And I always tell people when
Yeah.
they're like thinking about commission work, I'm like, be careful and make sure
Yes.
you schedule time, because
Hmm.
it's so draining to try to figure
Yeah.
all of that out.
And it's hard to create on a deadline.
Hmm.
Um, I have a hard time with that. Like sometimes, especially with my card making stuff too,
Hmm.
like if I have a deadline, I suddenly have no inspiration, no
Art
creativity, no
block.
anything. I'm like, I don't know how to make cards. What do you mean? I'm like, I just can't create. It's like deer in the headlights sort of feeling that like,
Hmm.
I don't know, just knowing that I have to turn something in and it better be good because otherwise they're not going to be able to use it for their advertising and they won't pick me again.
Hmm.
Like it just stresses me out so much that I can't create well.
Your creative brain just turns off completely. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is work now? Mm-mm.
Yeah, not happening.
Nope. Nope.
Oh.
Nice try, but no. Yeah.
So Annie here asks, who are some card makers that inspire you? I know you said that inspiration is rough, but are there any card makers that you watch from your fellow card maker?
Yes. Okay, so the person who got me into card making is Jennifer McGuire. She is like a huge name in the craft industry, especially card making.
Hmm.
She has like hundreds of thousands of followers or subscribers on YouTube. Um, and she's the one that I first went down the rabbit hole with like all these card techniques and like ways to make your cards exciting and interesting. And my mom actually is the one who sent me her information originally. She's like, "Hey, look at this YouTube video. I know it's not really what you do, but like maybe you could take some of this stuff and apply it to your cards." And I just went down like a huge rabbit hole, and then I ended up with an entire craft room of card making supplies that I didn't know I needed. And here we are. It's been quite an adventure. But yeah, Jennifer McGuire is the biggest one that like got me into card making. And then, oh gosh, there's just so many talented card makers. I don't know. I could give you a whole list. Annie, why don't I just make you a list of people that I love and I'll send it to you?
Yes.
Because I have lots of card makers.
Hmm.
So many.
It's kind of like me with
There's
like bullet journaling, because like I don't do bullet
bullet
journaling
journaling,
anymore because I can't keep
girl.
up with it. But like I got into the bullet journaling scene like, I don't know, 4 years ago or something. It was like at the very beginning of bullet journaling becoming like an actual thing.
Oh,
And so there's so many
yeah.
bullet journalers that I like love to watch. Like I still want to see their content even though I
You're not even
don't.
doing it?
Yeah, even though I don't do it, I love just
Yeah.
watching them just like make this like piece of paper into like this amazing calendar. Like it's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And it's just something that I definitely envy them being able to do that compared to like me trying to even fill out my planner in itself. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, I know I like at the end of each month I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
I have this planner and guess what's in it?
I
It's
have mine.
empty.
Yeah, I have mine. Oh, there goes all the sounds. I have mine with a sticky note on it. I have mine.
Yes.
And here is the first week of February, and then here's this. Oh wait, no, not there. Here's this
Oh,
week's. Here's
oh,
this week's. It's empty.
empty.
Last week's
Yes.
is filled and pretty, and then this week's is completely empty, and all I have on it is that I'm
Yeah.
doing Fay Fam talks today. That's literally all I
I made the calendar. Yes.
have in it. That's literally all I
Yeah.
have in there.
I have
Um,
all these big dreams. Like, I'm going to plan and I'm going to do all the things and I'm going to be so organized. No one will know what hit him. And then I just have the calendar and I'm like, oh, this is such a pretty planner. It looks so nice.
right. It's
And
just
then
like it's so pretty. I love it so much. Yeah.
it's like a desk element, like
Yeah.
like a decoration, basically. Like
Pretty
it's just there to
much.
look pretty.
Yep.
I
I love looking at my planner. It's so pretty. I
Me
just love
too.
looking at it. It's like, oh yes, there it is. I'm like, oh
Yes.
maybe I should like open it and like
Yes.
maybe write a couple things in there.
Yep.
I feel like I'd be able to write more in it if I honestly if I wasn't working my job, I'd
Yeah.
be able to like figure out things because like working my job currently, like I never know if I'm gonna have to go back into work the next day because
Oh.
somebody called in because we have such a
Yeah.
short staffed uh, you know, I have 5 people at my work and we should
It's
be
so
having
hard.
about 7 or 8 people. So we're very short staffed. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I have to go into work tomorrow. And then if I have to go back into work tomorrow, then I can't, you know, finish that YouTube video that I was planning on doing,
Right.
which is what happened yesterday.
Oh no. See, it makes it so hard when you can't have a reliable like set of time to focus and
hmm
work on something.
Right. It's just
Yeah.
one of those things. For our last question that we have, Banana Rose asks, what is a game that has made a distinct impact on your life?
The I feel like the most impactful game for me was Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
That is
Yes.
probably still my favorite game ever. Um, and I think it is what kind of like solidified my love of video games, and kind of set the precedent for the kind of games that I like.
hmm
Um, because it has these elements that I love and I find myself searching for in games that I play even now. Um, it I feel like it was the first game that I really threw myself into and played until it was 100% complete. Everything else before that, like I played like The Lion King on the Sega and the whatever Aladdin game that was, and I played Mario and like Bomberman and
hmm
like all the games from like Mega Man and Kirby, and I played like all the games when my brother would let me.
hmm
I didn't get a lot of chances to play when I was younger because my brother was like very intensely um, territorial about the video games, and like he would get to play mostly and I didn't really get to play a whole lot,
hmm
which is actually how my first experience with my own Pokemon game aside from Pokemon Go or like Pokemon Snap was Pokemon Sword and Shield.
hmm
um, because I never got like a Game Boy that was for boys
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
when I was growing up, and that was something that my brother got, but um, I didn't, and so I
hmm
never got to play those games. But Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time was like the first one that I was like, I will play this until my fingers fall off. Like I'm gonna find every one of those spiders, and I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna do all the things. And it was like the puzzles and like
hmm
trying to figure out the temples, and it just was really engaging, and it kept me interested for a very long time. And I still go back now and will play it. I still have a Nintendo 64, um,
Yes.
and I literally will go back and play it on the 64, um, just because
I
I
totally
love
get
it so
that.
much. Yeah. And then like in my adult life, I feel like the follow-up to that is that what got me back into gaming after like middle school, teenage sort of, I kind of took a break, and I
hmm
mostly the games that I played were only um like Halo or I don't know,
Right.
stuff like
Right.
that. I wasn't really playing anything like to me that was meaningful.
hmm
And then randomly I started playing the Elder Scrolls Morrowind. Um, and that just like hooked me and got me right back into that same feeling that I had with Ocarina of Time, which was just like kind of throwing myself 100% into a game and just being like obsessed with playing that game. And I've always loved like all of the Elder Scrolls stuff since then. Like I went through all of them, like Oblivion and Skyrim and all of them.
All of them.
Yeah, and I really loved that. So that was kind of like my adult version of Lord of the or not Lord of the Rings, my God. Um, my adult version of Legend of Zelda.
hmm
And then follow up to the follow up is Lord of the Rings Online. Um I guess that was where my brain was going with that. I
Hmm.
spent thousands of hours playing that game. Um, it's basically WoW for Lord of the Rings nerds.
I love
Um,
it. Oh my god.
it's so good. I spent so many hours playing that, and that kind of got me back into playing games. I feel like I go in kind of waves where like I play a lot of games for a long time,
Hmm.
and then I take a break and I don't really play much for a while, and then I
Hmm.
go back into playing games. Um, and that was a big one for me. Thousands of hours.
I think the most amount of hours I've had in any game was Animal Crossing this year with just New Horizons. I have over 1,000 hours in Animal Crossing.
Gosh, I
Yeah.
should see how many hours I have. I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah, mine hit,
It might not be that many.
it was like I don't even know, but for me, I don't even know a game that has made a distinct impact on my life. I mean, I guess Mario, but like my family has always been a video game driven household.
Hmm. Yeah.
So like my dad, he was, when he was a young kid, he went out, got the Nintendo, and he's gotten every single console since then. And the
Oh.
only thing that he never got was like he never got the Game Boy, so I didn't play Pokemon either. So my first like full
Yeah.
on experience with Pokemon was Sword and Shield as well.
Yes.
But like I grew up with the Nintendo DS, so I had a DS Lite, and it was pink, and it was like my favorite thing in the entire world. My sister had a black one, and I had a pink one. It was perfect,
That's awesome.
and I loved playing on it. I usually ended up playing Animal Crossing Wild World and Nintendogs because I just love those types of games. I always love just like the never ending love of something that
Yeah.
you're doing, and so I guess Animal Crossing would have to be on there because I played
Yeah.
Wild World, then I played City Folk, and then I played New Leaf, and now here I am at New Horizons, and I'm streaming it. So like, it's just one of
Yes.
those things.
They come full circle.
Yeah, it kind of did, and I didn't even think
Yeah.
about it. But Zelda is definitely on there as well for me because my mom was a very big Zelda fan, and I always watched
Oh,
her play Ocarina of Time, because every time I would play it, I'd get to the water temple and then quit. So I
Water
still
Temple's so hard. I
I still
still have
haven't
trouble with
finished.
it.
I haven't finished the game yet ever.
I
Like
usually have someone help me.
I've been thinking about doing more Zelda games on stream because like I want to finish them because I love them. I get very frustrated and I quit because I don't want to do them
Oh,
anymore because I'm like
they
nope,
are
not doing it.
challenging. I really enjoyed Breath of the Wild.
Hmm.
You've played that one?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
gotten 3 of the 4 divine beasts and that's it. I haven't gotten to the
Oh
fourth
yeah.
one, which was the electric one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I finished the game and like I went back and like did all of the temples and
Hmm.
I didn't find all of the Korok seeds because
There's
that
900
is
of them.
so much.
So
That's
many
so
of
much.
them.
And I was like, do I want to do that? I started to, and then I was
Hmm.
like,
You're like, yeah, I
nah,
totally want to do this. And then you're like, no, 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 I'm good.
no, I don't think I want to do it that badly.
Yeah, I think I have like 70 Korok seeds on this run through, and I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm like doing this for 900 of them.
it
I'm
gets
seeing
too grindy.
people, yeah, and you see
Yeah.
people like, I'm gonna 100% Zelda, and then you watch them do it, and you're like, how? And they spend just
Yeah.
hours upon hours of just playing this game, and I'm like, I
Yes.
can't find Korok seeds. Like, I'll go ahead and explore the land as much as you want me to,
Yes.
but
Yep.
finding Korok seeds is just too much.
Yeah. And some of them are in such weird places that like I don't know how you would ever just like randomly go to that place.
Right?
Like I don't know.
You're like, oh,
It's
there's a
weird.
hill. I have to go to the top of it because there might be a Korok
There
seed
might be a
there.
Korok seed. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, like you see that giant tower that there's no possible way I could climb? Better find a way up there because I'm sure there's a Korok seed up there.
Pretty much.
It's ridiculous.
All right. And with that, we're going to start going ahead and ending. I really appreciate you for coming on here. This was a really fun talk. Uh
Yes, thank you so much for
we
having me.
we didn't really keep up on the guest topic with like Etsy and like selling online, but like I still loved the talk that we had because like it's so important to have those kind of talks with people as well. And it makes you like really know that like yourself is like feeling the same way as other people.
Yes, it's validating.
Yes, it is. It is very validating to talk to someone and be like, "Oh, yes, they're thinking the same exact thing that I'm thinking." It's like it's so nice,
Yes.
very nice. Um,
Sorry, I'm a bit of a rambler.
oh
I kind
no,
of
you're fine. I loved
go on
it.
tangents.
Nice to not be the one to always be the rambler because that's usually me. I usually just keep talking and I'm like, "Oh no, maybe I should like let other people talk." But yeah, I really appreciate you for being on here. Thank you so much. And then uh obviously all of the information for everybody to know where to find Bootsy, all of their Etsy, Instagrams, Twitters, all of them, all the YouTube channels, they will be in the link below for YouTube. They'll be in the descriptions, and for Twitch right now the live one, it is in the chat. There we go, it's in the chat right now. Thanks, Annie, I appreciate it. And yeah, that's about it. And in not next week, but the week after, I will have Spacey and Vader on uh, with me, and we'll be talking about content creation as well, and then their guest topic, and it'll be lots of fun. I'm really excited. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.